Hello, everyone. If you have clicked on this video, chances are you're wondering what a professional organizer does. Well, I am here to help you. I actually am a professional organizer if this is your first time viewing any of my videos, which chances are it probably is, because my channel is very small right now. But yeah, so I actually do home and what I call corporate organizing, which is basically organizing office spaces. But it doesn't necessarily have to be an office space, can be a store or perhaps, some companies might have like offsite storage, something like that. Typically, I've actually not done offsite. Actually, no, I have. Did an offsite storage area for a person who sold breast implants, no lie. So anyway, some of you might be familiar with professional organizing through Marie Kondo, who has the book on tidying up, and she now has a Netflix series that is based on the book. And you may know her from the phrase, or what you may know about her may center around the phrase spark joy, which is what she describes, what she uses to describe an item in the home that gives the owner a good feeling. So if you own a pair of socks and they remind you of your favorite Halloween costume, but so they have emotional value. And it's even more helpful if you actually use them. That's kind of something I threw in there. I don't necessarily know that if it gives you joy under Marie Kondo's school of organizing, I don't think she'd make you get rid of it if it's that valuable to you. But that's just one example, one style of organizing. I'm here to tell you from a general perspective what professional organizing is. So, professional organizing mainly encompasses home organizing, although I obviously do more than homes. There are plenty of organizers who do digital file organizing. They might organize offices, perhaps schools. I've done schools before. That's actually like a really good area because teachers need help with their classrooms quite often, especially before the year starts and when they're breaking down for summer. So yeah, those are just different ways that professional organizers work with different types of people. And so yeah, basically there are different categories, different what am I trying to say? Different venues where professional organizers work. Each professional organizer has their own style. We obviously are people, we have our own personalities. I said her, it could be a he. There are male organizers, and yeah, like they're here in New York, and I've worked with people who've worked with men in the past or other women. And that's another thing. Some people may find that organizer A um does not her his or her way of working doesn't fit the client's personality or timeline or needs, or maybe their scope of services they provide doesn't include what the client needs. So yeah, so point one is going to be that you should know what you're looking for when you hire an organizer. And I know it can be like, well, I don't really know what I need. I just need to get organized. There I would challenge you to get specific. So what do you want organized? Do you want your closets organized? Do you need a way to make your furniture fit better in your home? Are you just like unsure of whether you have the way your furniture is arranged is the best layout for your space? Are you moving? Are you downsizing from a large home to a much smaller one, or vice versa, going from a small home to 5,000, 10,000 square feet, and you want a little help in making sure that you make the most of the space? Because let me tell you, um, especially here in New York, people, when they move out to the suburbs, it can be easy to develop a problem because you have all this closet space now, And instead of being more mindful of what you're putting in your home, it's tempting to say, oh, well, out of sight, out of mind, I'll just put it in my closet. I'll put it in the basement. I'll put it in the attic. In the attic. Mispronounced that. Sorry. Um, but that eventually leads to problems down the road because then you have this nice home that is extremely cluttered. You've got things that are collecting dust. You've got potentially valuable items that are perhaps they might mildew or they might just sit and they're you're not using them. Something just fell. Did you hear that? Um, Plastic bottle. I was drinking a smoothie and just knocked the bottle over. Um, So I'm a little all over the place because it's late. Which if you see my other videos, you know that I oftentimes record late and so I can be a bit all over the place. But yeah, so um yeah, know what you want, what you're looking to get organized. If you're a company, if you're a small business owner, if you're a large business owner, um you might want help with filing cabinets, file systems. I actually help corporate clients design file systems, or if they have a file system that's kind of in disarray, I help them bring order by putting in a system that fits the client's needs, that's intuitive for them to maintain. And all of the work I do, um, it varies from client to client because it's got to be whatever I do in someone's home or office has to be intuitive for them to keep up with. Not every organizer will tell you that. Not every organizer will do that. Not every client necessarily thinks of that. Some people just want someone to come. Actually, a lot of people just want someone to come and make things look nice, make things look neat and organized. And then they don't necessarily learn how to do the upkeep. That's another video. Um, but yeah, so they have to keep calling the organizer back. Some people are fine with that. Some organizers are fine with that. Some are not. I like to teach people, although I'm not opposed to doing a service where a client, can call me if they need maintenance. But in that case, you're going to get one of my associates who comes to maintain whatever work I put in place, whatever layout I've designed, whatever the case may be, whatever I've organized for you. Because then I don't know, I'm getting into kind of business talk, but like once I do, um, the initial service, maintaining it is something that I don't necessarily have to be present to do. I can, someone else is trained for the upkeep part of it. But the original service comes from my brain, and yeah, so that's super valuable. Because as I said, we're all different. We all have our own styles. So, yeah, so in addition to knowing what you want, let's talk about budget. So, I mean, this is kind of budget, kind of not, but a professional organizer might charge in different ways. So, some people will do a day rate, some people will do an hourly rate, some people will quote everyone something different based on the nature of what they need to have organized. Um, some people will do just a flat fee and well, yeah, I guess it's like a day rate, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. But yeah, like other flat fee structures where you pay this amount and maybe you pay a flat fee and you get three closets organized regardless how long it takes or something like that. Um, yeah, so I now yeah, so how I charge depends on the client. I charge corporations a little bit differently than I charge some residential clients. I have moved more toward a full day and a half day rate. And also, like, you can get like one space, one closet, one room done for a fee according to my pricing schedule, but everyone is different. Everyone's going to be different. Some people have a 4 hour minimum, some people have a 2 hour minimum, some people have no hour minimum, and then they charge by the hour. Um, so yeah, that's another thing to ask a professional organizer if you're considering hiring him or her. So Your initial appointment, again, everyone's approach to organizing is very different, although some people are similar, obviously. Um, but along those lines, your initial appointment might be different depending on who you call. So some people like to dive right in. Some people will do a free consultation and then they'll come and get down to business, um, for that first full appointment. Some people charge for their consultation and then they come back and do like a full session. Some people will spend that first session getting to know the client, which isn't a bad idea. That's not what I do necessarily, but it's not a bad idea now that I'm saying it out loud. But yeah, just getting to know the client and their needs and wants and looking at the home or the office, and then putting together a plan, telling them how to go forward, how the organizer wants to proceed. Some people will obviously dive right in and just start organizing, um, you know, depending on what the client wants and the organizer's style. Coaching can be a part of it. So I like for my client, it depends again, but certain clients will ask and I'll you become kind of good at feeling people out once you've worked in people's intimate spaces for so many years. But certain people need and want coaching along with their organizing, so they don't want you to just do it. They don't need you to just do it, and they're very receptive for you to point out things that they could do differently, point out patterns, point out things that patterns that you observe in the way they store things, or habits that the client might have that results in him or her getting in his or her own way. For example, I mean, an obvious example is the person who doesn't put things in the right place, but there are other little behavioral patterns that we all have that a professional organizer can come in, depending on the organizer. But an intuitive professional organizer, one who's very perceptive and has a good understanding of human behavior, can come in and point out, I'll give you an example. I give this example a lot. I had a client whose parents passed away, was helping her organize her office, and this was like a lot of coaching, not just straight up organizing, and I was working with her directly. So we were working on putting some things like papers, filing papers away because she's a professional and has a home office. And she just, things never ended up in the file cabinet. And sometimes there were things in the file cabinet, but she would forget that they were there, I guess you could say. And I'm kind of like hesitant in how I'm describing this, and you'll see for a second. You'll see in a second. So one day, there was something, I don't remember whether it was something that needed to go in the file cabinet. You know what? I think it was. So let's say there was something that I said to her earlier in the session. Oh yeah, you can file this away in your file for XYZ. And 30 minutes pass and the thing, she hasn't filed it, but I notice that she's doing everything except file that thing away. So then I say, you seem to have an aversion to the file cabinet. Would you agree with that? Like, is there something going on with the file cabinet that's causing you to avoid it? And she says, well, my parents, her parents had recently passed away, and she was dealing with, there's a lot of paperwork if a loved one passes away, and you're the next in line, if you're the next of kin, the spouse, the child, whomever. Yeah, so she, said her parents had recently passed away, which I knew, and there was like a final piece of paperwork that she needed to do, and she had been dreading it, and it was in the file cabinet, and that's why she never wanted to open the file cabinet, never wanted to go near it, because it just reminded her of that final thing she had to do that was relating to resolving the, I don't know, maybe maybe it was related to her parents' will, or some sort of charitable thing that they had set up, but it was like paperwork that was related to her parents' death and like what the final paperwork thing that she needed to do. So that's an example of how sometimes you might have habits that you don't readily see, or you might need an outside person to point them out to you. And that is another way that a professional organizer can be very useful, just in observing your behavior and giving you some ideas on how to do things in a way that might make things more manageable for you, make things less stressful. I'm all about reducing anxiety. That's one of my things. If you follow my Instagram, there is a lot of mindfulness, mind work type posts. And I used to really not be into mind work, but now I am. Just because anxiety is such a huge thing nowadays. Everybody deals with it, sometimes in ways that we, you know, well, yeah, like sometimes in ways that can be avoided. Sometimes people have things that trigger anxiety or that cause anxiety that, they had no control over. But there are things that add to that can be managed, avoided, mitigated through mindfulness and just through taking a step back, slowing down, looking at your own behavior, looking at your own thought patterns, redirecting them. I say sometimes you have to manually, like almost manually, redirect your thoughts sometimes just to reduce that anxiety. Same with organizing. You might feel like you're naturally prone to not being a very organized person. I say you've just not found a system that works for you, and it is so true. Generally, when I work with a client, the new behavior sticks. So not just with coaching, obviously that helps things stick, but also just in the way, like if I like to I like to get to know my clients, ask a lot of questions during that first session up front and throughout if we're working together on an ongoing basis and they're seeing me face to face. And with that info, I will make sure that things are done in a way that sort of work with their habits and the way they view their space. So, another example, I had a client who just never wanted to work in her home office. And this story is a little bit lighter than the file cabinet story. But I went in her office and I just said to her, your office just isn't very attractive. Like there's nothing fun. Like you should decorate it in a way that you would like. Get some patterns in here. She got like a zebra print chair or something like that and redid the colors. And sure enough, and also like I helped her pick out like some accessories for the office, like trash can and pen holder and like desk accessories, things like that. And sure enough, once those small changes were made, she loved her office and she stayed in her office and she kept it nice and neat because she loved the aesthetic. And when you like the way your space looks, you want to keep it that way and you'll do more to keep it that way because you don't want to go back to having a space that you don't like the look of. So I keep all these things in mind. I communicate these things to my clients, and in general, most of the people I've worked with, the overwhelming majority of them, have been able to keep up their habits. And organizing even leads to other life changes that the client may need. So good changes, like you all of a sudden your space looks good, you feel good, you start wanting to eat healthier, you have more energy to exercise. There's other parts of your life. If there's something if another part of your life is disorganized, you're probably going to want to go and organize it once your space is done. Just because you'll have this energy that's freed up and you'll be motivated. So, yeah, basically that's kind of a roundabout way of telling you what a professional organizer does. So basically, a professional organizer can organize any aspect of a home or a workspace, even digital files. It depends. It just all depends on the organizer you choose. Just ask them what they do, tell them what you're looking for, and that's that. So I hope this video was informative and helpful. I will be doing more of these just in helping you understand how organizing can benefit you. And yeah, so That's that. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and be well. Bye now.